Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Write with Mrs. Brown podcast. I am your host, Mrs. Brown, and today we are diving into a topic that is crucial for every parent and educator out there: the four deadly errors of teaching writing. Trust me, this is information you do not want to miss. Now, I have been in the trenches of teaching writing for years. I have home educated for years, and I have seen firsthand how these errors can stifle a child's creativity and confidence. But don't worry, I am here to help you navigate these pitfalls and set your child up for writing success. And one reason I can help you is because, to be honest with you, I made all four of these errors early on, particularly in my own home when I was teaching writing, and I really want to avoid or help you avoid making these errors. So let's break these down, these four deadly errors. Now, let me tell you where they come from. They come from Andrew Pudewa. He is the owner of the Institute for Excellence in Writing, and he's written a book called However Imperfectly. And this is one of the many lessons that he has learned over 30 years of teaching writing. And I think this is one of the best articles that I've read that he has written. And so, error number one is overcorrecting. If you are a note taker, you might want to grab your notebook, write this down, because as we are heading into or thinking about our writing year, this is something you want to consider not doing. Consider not doing, basically. So number one is overcorrecting. This is actually a big one. We often, as educators, home educators, or educators in other spaces, we jump in to correct every little mistake before our kids have even finished getting their ideas down on paper. This can be incredibly discouraging and can actually hinder the creative process. Instead, we need to let them express their thoughts freely and save some of the corrections for later drafts and really pace ourselves with corrections. I want to point out something that he says in his book that I think is just hilarious, actually. And it really um, puts a light on how corrections might be interpreted by our children. So many of us, this is in his book, many of us might recall the experience of getting back a red mark plastered paper. Did we look at it and think, wow, look at all these great corrections? If I carefully study the teacher's marks and really try to remember these things when I write my next paper, I'll probably get a better grade. I can hardly wait. It's unlikely that's what we thought. More commonly, though, a child looks at the paper and each red mark makes him feel or her feel this way: I'm wrong, I'm bad, I'm stupid, I don't know anything, I'll never be able to do this. And many of you may have children who are thinking this right now, or who may have had experiences with writing that has left them feeling this way. And so we want to make sure that we avoid over correcting. We want to also think about, when it comes to writing, one of the reasons why we don't overcorrect is because writing has so many complexities that are involved. There's spelling, there's the physical act of handwriting, there's typing, there's vocabulary, there's all kinds of different things that come into play when it comes to asking our children to write. So really just one thing at a time, and really giving incremental corrections. The other thing that he mentions in his book that I think is really important as he talks about how all writers need editors, including our children. But the difference between, he says, a mom, because he gets on us, but I guess dads and other editors can do this too, is that editors actually give corrections without a lecture attached. Now, if you are kind of new to home educating, new to teaching your children how to write, we can definitely fall into this. This is something I fell into, and I have to really catch myself even now, that when my child comes to me about anything, actually, but when we're talking about writing, that I don't attach my correction or my answer. I don't have a lecture attached to that. And early on, I definitely added a lecture to the correction. And that really led to my own personal children not feeling confident when it came to writing. And so I want to help you avoid that. An editor, however, does not give grades. He or she helps prepare a piece for publication. We help them as editors produce a finished product that can be that your child can be proud of, and we teach by editing, not correcting. So I just want you to get that in mind. So number 1, we want to avoid overcorrecting. Number 2, holding back help. Withholding help. That's another error that a lot of new parents make when we are starting to teach writing. So many parents and teachers think that children need to figure out writing on their own to truly learn. However, this can actually leave students feeling lost and overwhelmed. Providing guidance and support is actually crucial, especially when they're just starting out. You want to remember that it's okay to offer help and model good writing practices. And we may have to do that a lot longer than we expect. So here's the thing I want to mention that he writes in his article in this particular section. He writes, you may have to spoon feed some examples many times, but ultimately, they will start to think of possibilities on their own. Now, that time frame might be longer than we want, but it does come. I promise you. I have an almost 20-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, and they do not need as much help. Actually, they need very little help, but they don't need as much help as they did early on. And when in those early stages, I always thought like, oh my goodness, are we always going to am I always going to be so hands-on? And the answer is no. They will ultimately think of possibilities on their own, and they will do a great job. But it may take a little bit more spoon feeding at the beginning and modeling at the beginning to help them to be independent. So make sure that we, as parents, when we are teaching writing, we don't fall into the error of withholding help from our children. And Andrew Pudewa always says, you can never help your child too much. And one thing that I do want to emphasize, particularly if you have a reluctant writer, he says that helping them is so important to be successful, especially if they are reluctant writers, because how else will they learn unless we are modeling things for them and in some cases spoon feeding them examples? You can never help them too much. All right, error number 3, unclear assignments. Now, how many times have you heard your child say, I don't know what to write about? So vague writing prompts can really leave students paralyzed, not knowing where to start. Clear, specific assignments, however, can provide the direction they need to get their creative juices flowing. And I will say, I'm a certified Institute for Excellence in Writing instructor. I highly recommend this as a curriculum. I actually teach it and use it as a base curriculum for all of my writing classes that are full year classes because they offer very clear assignments. And it's clear not only for students, but also for parents. It is so important. So, like, think about this. If you've ever had a writing prompt that says something like, write a 3-paragraph story set in the 1800s, be sure to add plenty of descriptive words. Okay, that's stressful. What in the world am I supposed to say? That leaves our children thinking, what am I supposed to say exactly? Or maybe write a 2-paragraph book report on Little House on the Prairie. These types of assignments are really tough for children. And so, what I love about the Institute for Excellence in Writing in particular is the way that they give their assignments. They are so clear. They let the students know exactly what to expect. They let them know exactly what their day-to-day work should look like, exactly what a well-written paper should sound like, exactly what stylistic techniques, that's what they call them in IEW. So exactly what descriptive writing should they include? What does that mean? And they have a checklist for every single paper or every single assignment. So the student is not left paralyzed thinking, okay, what in the world am I supposed to write? I don't know what to start. I don't know where to start. And I really don't know how to meet your expectations. And one thing that he says in another article is students like to do, and I think this actually is for us too, if we're being honest, we like to do what we can do well. So we want to make sure that we set our children up to be successful so that they can build their confidence, and that we define what is expected of them in a writing piece, and we do not give them unclear assignments that sets them up for failure, basically. All right, and now we're at the very last one, number 4, over expectation. Before I go into this one, I'm curious. Definitely drop in the comments below if you're listening to this, or send me an email, or if you're looking at this on YouTube or wherever you're taking in this particular podcast. I'm wondering which one resonates with you the most: overcorrecting, withholding help, unclear assignment so far, or maybe it's going to be number 4, over expectation. All right. We all want our kids to succeed, but setting unrealistic expectations can lead to frustration and a dislike of writing. It's important to meet your child where they are and celebrate their progress. Small victories lead to big successes over time. I promise you, there is nothing too small to celebrate. Celebrate nothing at all. And so we want to make sure that we get a hold of over expectation. We definitely want to make sure when you are looking at your child and you are guiding them in their writing, you really want to separate the complexities. This is something that Andrew Pudawa says in his book, However Imperfectly, when he's writing about the 4 deadly errors of teaching writing, and specifically about over expectation. He says, separate complexity. Allow children to focus on one aspect of writing without expecting them to do everything right the first or even the second, or might I add, third, fourth, or fifth time. Finished products should reflect excellence, but not instantly. Let me say that again. Finished products should reflect excellence, but not instantly. And as educators, we should always look for something to complement a good point of reference, a good point to reference first before pointing out a careless error or awkward expression. So again, we want to definitely start with compliments first before we point out something that could be adjusted. Success breeds success, and you as the parent or the teacher or the coach, not the judge. We want to definitely make sure that we understand that with practice, repetition, age, maturity, and motive, most children will grow to produce work that is well written, correct, and neat. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but how do I actually avoid these errors? Well, that's where I come in. In my fall writing classes, I talked about that before. These are my full year classes. I provide a structured approach that addresses each of these potential pitfalls. But here's the thing: I don't just support your child, I support you too. Because let's face it, sometimes we parents need a little guidance as well, right? I know I did. I know that I wish I would have had more guidance. I wish I would have had someone do for me what I do for my parents who join my writing team. That's why I offer parent huddles and student study halls outside of my regular writing classes. These sessions give you the opportunity to ask questions, get personalized advice, and connect with other parents who are on the same journey. And here's what one of my parents said. They said the parent huddles have been a game changer for them. They finally feel equipped to support their daughter's writing journey, and they have seen confidence in her writing soar. So, if you are ready to transform your child's writing experience and gain the tools you need to support them, I want to invite you to join my writing team, to sign up for one of my fall classes. Not only will your child receive top-notch writing instruction, but you'll also get access to our parent huddles and student study halls. Don't let another school year go by struggling with writing or just not meeting the goals that you've set for your writing, for the writing for your child that year. Take action now. And I want you to give your child the gift of confident, effective writing skills. And I want you to give yourself the gift of full support, not just for your child, but for you. To sign up, you want to simply head over to my website, www.writewithmrsbrown.com. Spots do fill up pretty fast, so don't wait. Remember, with the right support and instruction, every child can become a confident writer. And I cannot wait to work with you and your child this fall or whenever it works for you to come and grab and get the support that you need and your child needs. Until next time, let's avoid those 4 deadly errors of teaching writing. And I want you to keep believing in your child's potential and in yourself because you can be an excellent coach for your child. All right. Until next time, happy writing.